All right, well, the trade talks between Washington and Beijing reached a preliminary trade consensus in Kuala Lumpur, clearing the way for President Donald Trump and President Xi Jinping to finalize a deal next week. This statement was reiterated by the Chinese trade negotiator Li Chenggang. Let's listen in.
经过1天多的非常紧张的讨论，中美双方就上述这些议题建设性的探讨了一些妥善处理双方关注的方案，形成了初步共识。双方就此进行了建设性的探讨。美方表达立场是强硬的，中方维护利益是坚定。
All right, Tibetan further said that China is ready to make a trade deal, with both sides set to discuss substantial Chinese purchases of U.S. soybeans, cooperation to tackle the U.S. fentanyl crisis, and ways to balance trade while avoiding new 100% tariffs on Chinese goods. He added that Trump and Xi will decide on deferring China's rare earth export restrictions, a major sticking point in the talks. China's Vice Premier Li Chenggang, on the other hand, said that the two sides should address each other's concerns through equal dialogue, implement the consensus reached, and meet each other halfway. All right, Dr. Jayant Mena, Senior Fellow at ICEAS, is joining us at this point in time. He's in Singapore. Professor, appreciate you being here with us. Well, the statement that I read out in my last monologue was that both the sides have to meet each other midway. But with Donald Trump, do you think that really is a possibility? For him, so far it's all or nothing. Do you think that China and the United States will be able to mediate some sort of a deal or some sort of a agreement which Donald Trump is also going to be happy about?
I think we've heard a lot of toing and froing so far as part of the dance before they actually come to the table and thrash out a deal. I think the time has come now for all of the drama to stop and to actually get on with the business of doing a deal. The current state of play is untenable for both sides. And it's been the US actually that's been provoking China and then getting very upset when China responds in a measured way. All that needs to stop now, and I think the participants on both sides must take seriously a deal being negotiated very quickly, not only in the interest of their own countries, but also to sustain global growth, as these are the two biggest nations in the world.
Right, and Professor, there's also, right now we're talking about trade, but the Americans have been more than eager to support Taiwan, which has been, a major brooding point between the Americans and the Chinese. Do you think that is something that may also, perhaps not at the face of it, but behind closed doors, be a problem that China may want to hash out with the United States?
I think this is a highly sensitive issue for China, more so than it is an interest for the US. So I don't know what happens behind closed doors. It could well be raised, but I think there's so many economic issues, and I know that Trump has been trying to use economic tools, or his tariffs in particular, to address all kinds of security and non-economic issues. But I don't think those two things should be mixed as far as possible. Of course, in the real world of geopolitics, they come together. But as far as possible, I think we should focus on trade issues using trade instruments and non-trade issues using the appropriate instruments separately. But to come back to your question, I think it might well be raised, and maybe this administration could be more likely to concede than the previous one.
All right, so stay with us. Well, in a major development, the US and Malaysia have agreed on a rare earth minerals deal, but Malaysia's trade minister has said that a new rare earths agreement is not exclusive to the United States. The deal allows Malaysia to work with multiple countries. He also highlighted that Malaysia has specific exemptions on exports These include palm oil, rubber, cacao, and aerospace equipment. Officials stress that these exemptions are part of Malaysia's broader trade strategy. The country aims to protect key industries while engaging in global trade partnerships. On the other hand, the United States and Vietnam are set to finalize a major trade agreement in the coming weeks, marking a new phase in economic ties between Washington and Hanoi. The deal will keep a 20% tariff on most Vietnamese goods, but remove duties on selected products that will be decided later. In return, Vietnam has agreed to grant preferential access to American exports and address long-standing non-tariff barriers, including U.S. motor vehicles, medical devices, and pharmaceuticals. All right, Dr. Jayant Menon, still with us on the broadcast. Dr. Menon, rare earth minerals, has it become, more of a fad these days? Because I remember Asim Munir and Shahbaz Sharif also, carrying this briefcase into the White House and trying to tell the American president that how, they could trade in these rare minerals and how Pakistan could be best buddies with the Americans. How do you explain this surge in rare minerals, being used to lure the Americans at this point in time, especially in the face of these tariff wars?
Well, it's become, weaponized, if you like, after China responded to long-standing U.S. restrictions on how their companies can export chips, especially the super chips to the U.S. When they responded in kind in imposing the same controls on Chinese firms exporting rare earths and magnets. So when that happened, suddenly the premium on having alternative sources of rare earths increased sharply. And so these countries, quite understandably, have been leveraging on the situation and using, wherever it's available, those rare earths to negotiate a better deal with the U.S. And it's you already explained how it's come into the Malaysian agreement. In fact, any country that has significant deposits of the various rare earths. Malaysia has non-radioactive versions of the rare earths in some abundance. They will be using them to try and cut a better deal because the headline reciprocal tariff can be reduced to zero on an exemptions list. And that's what they're pursuing. And as you said, Malaysia has already got it for some of its agricultural products, palm oil, cocoa, and a few other items as well.
Fair enough, sir. Dr. Menon, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Well, the 47th ASEAN Summit kicked off in Kuala Lumpur. Japan's new